Hey gang, I want to talk briefly about how to trim a bone-dry lid that doesn't fit your jar. It's a bummer when this happens, but it's better if your lid is too big rather than too small, because we can trim the lid to become a perfect fit. There might be a few things causing the lid to not fit right, so let's take a look and see what can be done. First, start by measuring the gallery of your green wire jar. Once you've taken a measurement with calipers, then center a small handful of clay and make a donut. The lid will rest upon the rim of this, and ideally the bone-dry lid should stick to the wet surface. Now that the donut is thrown, place your lid on top. Getting the lid centered is the trickiest part of the whole process in my opinion. I use a wet sponge to tap center the lid into place, and once it's placed, I press down somewhat firmly to fix the lid to the donut. Once the lid is centered, I'll start trimming a little bit away at a time. I make sure to wet the edges with a wet sponge to reduce the amount of powder I'll create. Also, it helps soften the edges to make the trim a little bit easier. I also want you to notice that I'm constantly checking my edges with the calipers. If I trim too far, then my lid will be too small, and that to me is honestly a disaster. So now my edges fit between the calipers, and I rebeveled the base of the lid to match the gallery of my jar. Cut the lid off, make sure not to pull it off, and then clean up the bottom as best as you can. If your lid fits, but just needs to be cleaned up, then you can use a chuck to trim up those rough edges. Again, it doesn't hurt to wipe it down one last time either. And that's it. Of course, there's one last test to perform before you clean up, and that is, make sure it's a perfect fit. Thanks for watching.